Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared and I'm back. Man, oh yeah, Warriors Quest is live. Okay, I'm so amped. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm your host of Warriors Quest, Jared A. Brown. And man, it is going to be lit. We're going to have this place going tonight. I want to hear some noise, everybody, in the comment section, all right? So please comment. Let's get this place going. Let's get it popping because this is going to be nice. All right, I've got a great co-host, and I've reached out to somebody, and the special guest tonight it's a great story, and you're going to really like to hear this story. And so please, all right, man, please share this message. But man, I'm going to bring in our co-host. Okay, the co-host has been with me before, has co-hosted before. She's a kidney transplant recipient. All right, she is originally from Chicago. Now she lives in Florida, and you all know her. This is by far and away somebody who brings positive energy, someone who is a faith, a great person that I admire her strength and toughness. I'm bringing on Audrey Bella Langston. All right. Okay. She looks a lot like Vivica Fox. So I'm excited to bring her on. All right. So I'm going to bring her on. But before I do that, I'm going to give her a special co-host video intro. Boom!
Wow, Jared.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. All right.
Nice.
Thank you for that.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
How are
Welcome.
you? Happy to be
I'm
back
great.
with you, man.
Man, yeah, I'm super amped. I'm excited to have you back as a co-host. You bring positive energy, and I love positive
Thank
energy.
you.
You know, I'm an optimist, and I look at good, positive things. Even, you know, it's hard, even when bad things happen, and I love that about you. So, thank you for coming on. How is sunny Florida?
Well, I'm not rubbing it in, but you know the weather's amazing. I was out there today doing my cardio, and it was about 90. It was hot, but I love it. You gotta love it, you know. And so I'm great. I mean, I'm blessed. Health is great, you know. And in light of the pandemic, I mean, I just think we're all really doing awesome. You know, and I just think we're just going to continue to search for it and do amazing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we have to. I mean, we've got to look at ways to move forward, you know, move the needle and do things in a positive way, you know, man. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, one of the things that I saw just recently, okay, is that I'm a big sports fan. And I saw recently on your feed, okay, that you had a photo that you shared. You shared and posted a photo of you and John Sally. You gotta spill the beans.
Well, I can't say that Johnny and I dated, you know, but yeah. So that was just a little nice throwback back in the 90s. You know, like I joined up with the police department, as I've shared, in 93. And so I want to say that was maybe about 1996-ish, 97. One of the other great things about being a cop was, and depending on which, you know, kind of like private circle you were connected with.
Okay.
I got to do a lot of cool, like bodyguard side gigs.
All right.
So I was doing one that was pretty much majority of the guests there were a lot of the NBA. Some of the WNBA was there. Some of the actors and singers. I mean, it was just amazing. And this took place in Chicago.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was. And Johnny, I mean, I was trying to stay very professional that night because that's what I believed in as far as on my job, you know, this is what I'm going to do. And they wouldn't let me. They came and grabbed me and wanted me to come party. Yeah, wanted me. No, come on, we want you to come party with us. And I think Johnny was just very enthralled by the fact that I was a cop, and he just kind of hung around me all night, and everybody was teasing me, you know.
On.
And he's just an amazing guy, as were a lot of the other ones too. Yeah, he's very sweet. Very sweet.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm a big sports fan, and I remember watching him play he played for the Pistons, of course the Bulls, and then he played for the Lakers, you know, as well. But he's done some TV too as like a commentator.
He was a commentator, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. That's cool.
Great career.
Yeah. All right. And so is that how you met Aries Spears too, then, or?
Oh, no. Now Aries, my friend, met him, but I think I'm not sure if we were also somewhere at a party where I may have met him for a minute. I've heard good things about him, but I've met a lot of the other, I met so many of them. I mean, and they're all awesome. Scotty and Scotty Pippen, Robert Horry, got pictures with a lot of those guys.
All right. You know, I met Flavor Flav in Las Vegas when I was doing slot machines. That's all I can say.
Okay. Amen. Yeah. My daughter used to get a kick out of the Flavor Flav show. I used to have to suffer through watching that with her, and it wasn't a very nice experience, in my opinion.
All right. Well, very cool. Anyway, so let's bring on our special guest. All right, man. I reached out to this young lady because she has a really good following on Instagram, and she's pretty active on Instagram, and she puts out really good material on Instagram, and I thought it was very interesting and unique, and I'm glad to bring her on. From sunny San Diego on the other side of the coast, all right, San Diego, California, and I'm going to bring on Bridget Leubbers. Before I do that, I'm going to give her a special intro too. You guys ready for a very special intro for a VIP special guest? All right, here we go. Boom! Wow!
I love it.
Yeah. All right, we're bringing on Bridget.
Hey, Bridget.
Hello. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
How'd you like your intro? Did you see that?
I'm doing over here.
Yeah, he's on the box a little bit now, I guess.
I love it.
Well, let's get it popping here. I mean, I'm really excited to bring you on. You know, I've been on Instagram for a while, so I've got some followers, but I'm more active on Facebook. But because I go to Instagram, there's a different vibe there. You know, there's people tend to show more video, or they tend to show, you know, different things than they would on Facebook. And so, you know, I like your Instagram stories. That's what really caught my attention, and that's why I wanted to kind of reach out to you. But anyway, so I'm glad I did, and I'm going to have you introduce yourself. We've got tons of people commenting, probably some family and friends that you have watching. I'm going to get to that very soon, but introduce yourself. Obviously, you're from Monday, you're from San Diego. Let us know, if you group. And give us kind of your background. I'm going to put you so introduce yourself. Okay?
Some issues hearing you, Jared.
Oh, is that right? Can you hear me, Audrey?
You're going in and out, and from our end, video-wise, you're kind of a little murky. I mean, it's so.
Let her know. I'm going to her solo. Let her introduce herself.
Okay. Basically do your thing, Bridget.
Okay. Well, hello. I'm Bridget Leubbers. I live in San Diego, California. My Instagram's Chronically Bridget because I live with this chronic illness called FSGS, kidney disease. I was diagnosed with it 20 years ago now. I've had a couple transplants. I've done a lot of dialysis, lots of different surgeries and complications with it. And a couple years ago, the disease got really bad where I had to kind of give up everything I had been working on. I had gone to college and I was starting a career, doing all that kind of stuff. And then the disease got so bad, I had to move back in with my family and leave my job. And I just got really, really depressed. I was going through a really hard time. And I started a blog and I started sharing on Instagram. And it was really wonderful because I got a lot of great feedback from people who have, struggled with other things that cause them depression or other reasons that cause them kidney disease and different stuff like that. And a lot of people were just like, wow, thank you so much for sharing your story and being vulnerable. Other people be vulnerable too, which I think is something that is a space that a lot of people wanted, but didn't really have to enjoy because, social media is all about happy face and this is my life is perfect, this and that. And I was sharing life can be perfect and wonderful sometimes, but sometimes it really sucks too. And that's okay. Yeah. So I'm excited to share with you guys and talk about everything.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Jared, did you want to ask, were you about to ask for something? Ahead. So Bridget, as we were sharing briefly backstage, I too am a FSGS survivor. First of all, did you learn how to say it yet, girlfriend?
Focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. I can even.
All right. I love it. Yeah.
When I was first diagnosed,
when
I got my very first biopsy, the doctor told me, oh, you either have this long one or you have minimal changes. And I was like, I don't know what that one is, but that's the one I want.
Right.
I got the really long one.
It takes a minute to say it. It takes a minute to learn how to say it, but I see why they just call it FSGS, but they should term a lot of illnesses. It just makes it more simplistic. Absolutely. But I also got diagnosed in 1993. And I don't know how your FSGS came to the forefront. So I would like for you to share that with us. But mine just literally came out of nowhere. I mean, I was at the healthiest point in my life. I had just graduated from the police academy. I mean, I was just like superwoman raring to go. And so a lot of times people have the misconception that illness is associated with things like obesity, and just, some other underlying, issue. And that is not always the case. So share with us how you came to find out that you had FSGS.
Well, it was the same thing. I was in high school. It was my senior year of high school. I was this healthy, young SoCal girl doing her thing, looking forward to going to college and all that kind of stuff. And it was the same thing. It just came out of nowhere. Like one day, my ankles were swollen, and they were swollen for 2 days in a row. And I was like, this is really weird. Or maybe you ate too much salt or this or that. And I was like, nothing is different. So I went to my pediatrician even, and they had me do a urinalysis, and they're like, you're spilling protein. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Okay. They're like, go see a nephrologist. And I didn't know what the heck a nephrologist is. I was like, oh, okay, this guy, whatever. And they tell me like, oh, it's a kidney doctor. There's something wrong with your kidneys. And I was just like, it was just so out of left field that I had no idea how to react or respond to it. Like, I didn't know it was going to be the life-changing diagnosis that it was. I thought, I'll take some medication, they'll do this, they'll do that, it'll get better, things will be fine. No, it never got better. Things were never fine.
They don't, you know, and they're not.
Yeah, I was healthy, and I never, you know, was in the hospital. I never had health issues growing up until this, and now it's just, I'm like Bridget, the kidney girl.
And so go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
How did you come up with the moniker, the name Chronically Bridget? And was that something that you did, or something that your friends did, or how did you come up with that?
I came up with that because I kind of liked that it was a mixture of like the chronic illness that I was, you know, going to chronicle my adventures in kidney disease or whatever. And then also that I smoke weed. So it like all went together.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
I thought it was a perfect combination of all three things that I wanted to share and talk about. So it just kind of worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Put it out there.
I thought you were like honest. I'm just kidding. Wow. So, you cat people weed.
I don't know where that came from.
You got the audience going with that girl. Now I don't know why you did told that one. But you know, so at what point, or you know, based on age as well as elevated symptoms, were you having, you know, to the point where your illness, where the FSGS really began to escalate? Were you put on any medications? Because here's why I asked. Initially, when I was diagnosed, one of the first meds they wanted to put me on was prednisone. And I remember saying, wait, is that, and I forgive me, I didn't mean to make it sound like this, but this is how I remembered it. I go, is that drug that blows people up like a blimp? And, you know, and so he sort of chuckled like, well, yeah, you know, but, you know, you can learn how to maintain your, no. And I said, no, I'm not taking it. I'm a cop. I cannot be running around the streets of Chicago like a Goodyear blimp. I'm not taking it. Period.
Well, yes. So prednisone was the very first thing that the doctor put me on. And he tells me the side effects are that you're going to gain weight and get acne. I'm a 17-year-old girl. I'm in high school in SoCal. I'm like wearing my little crop tops, and I'm like, oh, I'm so cute, you know? And I was like, you know, I'm going to get fat and break out. That's like every teen girl's nightmare. So that was pretty awful.
That must not have been good news.
Yeah, it was not. I was on prednisone for like 8 years, and I look at pictures, and I'm just like the huge chipmunk cheeks. And I felt like once I got off of it and like my face got back to normal, I was like, that's what I look like? Like, weird. I don't even remember. You know what I mean? You've been heading for so long.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that. And it was one of those, like it worked for a little bit and then not so much. And then at this point, I couldn't even tell you all the drugs that I've been on because I've done everything, you know? But I was able to go away to college. Down here in San Diego, I lived like an hour and a half away. It's where my family was. So I was always going back and forth, doctor's appointments, this and that. I was able to make it through my first 2 years of college pretty well. You know, I had some issues where I would get like sick over the summer. I'm like gaining weight, losing weight from like not being able to hold food down. And it was just a big mess. But it was like my third year of college that it got so bad that doctor like knew. He was like, you're going to have a transplant and start dialysis. So I left school. I moved back with my family, and like my dad got tested and he became my kidney donor. And so, yeah, it was really wonderful. Luckily, I was only on dialysis for about 3 months the first time, because we were able to like time it so well that it worked out that way. And, you know, unfortunately, I killed that kidney right away. Like within 8 months, like I had tried to go back to college. I went back for a semester, had to drop out again, go home, be on dialysis for another year, and have my second kidney transplant within a year and a half.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's like within 3 years, it progresses. So I was diagnosed in January of 2000, and I had my first transplant in May of 2003, and my second transplant January of 2005.
And who was the second transplant from a
Cadaver.
living kidney? Oh, it was from a deceased donor. Okay.
Yeah, I actually had started to get tested with my stepsister, who, even though we're not blood, randomly we were like a perfect match.
All right.
So she was thinking about giving it to me when I got a call saying they had a cadaver, and it was really fast. It was only a year. Where normally in California, especially with, I have an O blood type, so you know we're the universal.
You can only get from an O donor. Yeah.
So it's kind of harder to get an O kidney. You wait longer, and they told me the wait could be up to 10 years. Literally within like 12 months exactly, I got a phone call in the middle of the night. And they're like, "We have a kidney for you," and I was like, "I'll take it. I'll try it out. Why not?" And so that one lasted a little longer because we did plasmapheresis. That one.
Right.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's, you know,
helps a lot more.
Yeah, and so that's just like the process for folks watching, that it's kind of like dialysis where they filter your blood, but they're taking out albumin and giving you new albumin in, like or whatever. I don't know how it works. And so that kind of sucked because I still had to do that until my kidney failed again. So it's like I was never really off dialysis the second time.
So you did that pretty regularly then during that time?
Did that treatment. Like I had to get all drugged up before I would start.
Wow.
My nausea meds and this and that. It was really a really tough time.
So when you say it was tough, was it tough mentally? How was that? How was it difficult for you in your life at that moment?
It was really hard because it was like 2 or 3 weeks before my 21st birthday that I had my first kidney transplant. So that's a hard time. Like you see all of your friends, everyone is celebrating and they're in college and having a great time and this and that. And I'm stuck at home, sick by myself. Like I did this quarantine life way before this was cool, you know. Because you know you're not allowed to leave your house or anything. You know, you're supposed to like stay secluded away from people for months at a time. So that was really hard. And then just the whole thing. It's like I'm trying to finish school. I'm in the hospital studying for my finals. Like the doctor would be like, you know, I can write you a note. Like you were just in the hospital. Like it's okay. I was like, no, I have to do it. I like got up all early in the morning and like drove back down to San Diego to take my final the day after I was in the hospital. And it was just such a like, oh my God, it was such a S show. You know what I mean? So I just kind of really struggled with that, watching all of my peers and my friends do what I had planned to do for my life. You know, like I was going to go to college and then I was going to go to grad school, do this, do that. Like anybody does, you know, when you're a senior, especially like what's my life going to look like? And this is not anything like I thought it would look like, you know, it's just like all, so it was really hard and I struggled it for a long time. And it wasn't really until the past couple of years when I really started doing therapy that I finally was able to like put a name to how I was feeling, and that it was depression and it was anxiety that I was dealing with, just wanting to hide away, like not bother people with what I was going through. I felt like, no, I'm a burden. Like I can't let anybody really in to know what's happening, because they're just going to be like, oh, geez, whatever, like she's just complaining. And so I did that, and I missed out on a lot of events where sometimes it would I just couldn't go. It's like some group of friends, someone's doing something, a family event even, and I would like cancel at the last minute just because like the thought of being near people and pretending to be normal was just way too much for me to handle. Like I can't just talk about regular life stuff when you're going through this life-changing battle, It's like I'm literally fighting for my life right now. Like, I'm not going to talk about, I don't know, that you're annoyed that some guy cut you off on the street or something. I'm like, get a real problem, people. That's always, and I had a problem with that for a while too.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't as sympathetic to other people as I should have been, because it was just like, get a real problem. Your life is not hard. Well, now I've like started to accept that everybody has their own issues and all that.
Yeah.
Audrey, did you ever do plasmapheresis?
No, I never had to do plasma. My situation, Bridget, I will say I was truly blessed. My kidney came, my donor was a living donor, my godson, who was also O. And we were literally pretty much almost like a perfect match. And so the transplant itself went great. I ended up though being on dialysis myself for about 6 months. So I did experience that, and I chose PD, but I came right out of that and got the kidney. And all I ever was on was our regular like immunosuppressants. I personally am on Cellcept and Prograf. I'm not sure what they put you on. Some of them are different, like Rapamune and a few of the other guys. But I praise God am just made 15 years post. So I want to say that to urge you that there is hope. And that's why I told you backstage, I really need you to keep your faith, because that is what is going to get you through this. You will.
Oh, yeah.
I know what they told you. I mean, I know obviously that you had 2 losses. That's the unfortunate thing about FSGS. They told me the same thing. Now there is a big possibility that this disease is going to come back and attack your new kidney. And I'm just looking at them like, as good as I feel and as good as I felt, as opposed to how I felt prior to that, I'm not trying to hear that. And here I am almost 16 years later. So
amazing.
It can happen. It's not guaranteed. It's just, they have to tell you that because it obviously is a truth. I think that that was just amazing for your dad, to be your first donor. And that's the thing about FSGS. It comes and attacks the glomeruli. And so that's tied in with our blood. And so that's what really gets really, unfortunate with that, because it can start really destroying those, the cells and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like after that first transplant, like I started spilling protein immediately. Like as soon as the kidney made urine, immediately. I got swollen up. I was like in the hospital for an extended like 10 days or something because I was having complications afterwards. It was just not a good situation. But I was very lucky. Like my dad, there was zero hesitation. It was like, you need a kidney? Okay, well, I'm going to get tested and we're going to see what happens. And my sisters were the same way, my biological sisters as well as my stepsister. Right. And everyone was just like, if I could do it, I will. And I've been so blessed. I've had so many people throughout my life. Like I had my transplant nurse when my kidney failed, she offered me to give me a kidney. She was like, "Oh my God, I love you so much. Like, I feel so bad. Like, I'll give you one of my kidneys." I was like, "It's okay." Like, I've gotten a lot of kidneys offered to me throughout my life. Yes, it's such a blessing. And it's funny because I can't take any of them. You know, I'm like, I would love to, but no doctor will give it to me. Whereas, and then I see other people out there who are just like struggling to find someone to give it to them. And I want one of my people, I want to be like, I can't take it, but like, we got thousands and thousands of people out there who need this because they're going to maybe not last that long on dialysis. Some people aren't good patients. They don't last that long, unfortunately.
Well, and also what I find interesting in your situation, Bridget, is first of all, the fight, the body fighting that off in the beginning, right after the transplant, totally normal. That's what our bodies are supposed to do. That's why they have to, you know,
immunosuppressing meds,
doses right away, because that's the amazing thing about our body. It goes right into attack mode. You're not supposed to be here. Who are you? Get out.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And so I think there's a possibility that based on that alone, and then it sounds as though to me that you could obviously, especially being that you acquired it at a younger age, could have a much more aggressive stage of FSGS. I'm sure FSGS is in levels too, as far as how aggressive it can be.
Oh, absolutely.
Person to person.
I mean, it seems like there has to be, considering some folks like you are so lucky and it takes the first time and it doesn't come out. And then there's the folks like me, like I've seen other FSGS people who've had 2 or 3 transplants and it keeps coming back, and they're in the same boat I am. It's like we're kind of in this like wasteland of just waiting around until there's some artificial kidney coming out. So UCSF, hurry up, get that kidney going.
Exactly.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to be the bionic woman. I've been telling everyone I'm going to live longer than all of you guys because I'm going to get a fake kidney.
We have the technology.
Hey, they're doing all kinds of awesome stuff now. You know,
exactly. Like I'm just counting down the days.
Right. And then obviously also with your blood type, that puts you in that little small category too.
Yeah.
You know, where your kidney can only come from those other special O category people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that pool gets smaller in the donation world, you know, outside of.
Yes, absolutely. Because those kidneys are going to, O's are going to everyone.
Right.
Anyone can take an O. I'm such a giver.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But I do believe, and I urge you to believe it as well, that it can and it will work when you get another one. Let's just claim that right now. You know, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. You're being taken through, you know, all of this. You're gonna get an amazing kidney. I really believe that. And you have the personality to match that, you know, so you just, you know, continue to stay optimistic about that. But what I would like to ask you also is, can you share with everyone the part where the doctor, the nephrologist literally told you, well, no, we're not going to do another transplant on you, because that's kind of, can you kind of share with everyone how that came about? Because I think that's deep that he said that to you.
That is.
Yes. So after my second transplant, I was doing the plasmapheresis before I started dialysis again. I moved, so I had to start seeing a new transplant team in a different city. And it was there that those doctors, they like put me on the transplant list, but they said, we won't give you a transplant unless there's different medication or treatment. So I was like on hold. So I was gaining my time, but they pretty much said, you can't do that. I mean, I've seen specialists. Like I flew out to New York to see the doctor who treated Alonzo Mourning. The basketball star who has FSGS. So I saw Gerald Appel, I believe that was his name. I saw him, and then I went to UC San Francisco. There was another doctor there who kind of specializes at FSGS and has a lot of those patients. And that was the doctor who pretty much told me, He's like, if you were my patient, I would not give you another transplant. He's like, it's your 99.9% chance that it'll come back in a third one. And he's like, so I wouldn't do that to your body and waste, the resources and that kidney that could go to somebody where it's more likely to live.
So was this, I'm sorry, let me just jump in interject real quick. I'm sorry. So him basing them not wanting to give you another, was that only based upon if it had been from a deceased donor? Like if you came with another living donor, would they still deny doing that?
Yeah. Because, they were like, a big thing is, and I mean, they keep saying, they don't want to put my body through it and this and that and all this stuff.
Okay.
And I'm sure also, because dialysis centers, they have numbers they got to keep up. They want their transplants to survive because they report how long the graft lives for. And they don't want somebody who it's like, where it's definitely going to fail. So unfortunately, like I said, I've had more offers of friends and loved ones who are willing to donate to me. And unfortunately, I can't take it because none of the doctors will do the surgery. So even so that was, 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, that I had learned that information.
All right.
And then since then I moved again, so now I'm at another transplant center.
Right. I was just going to ask that. Was it just one doctor or several doctors that
this
have
has been several doctors who have said this to me. And so I'm in San Diego now, so I went to, the doctors had, my nephrologist, she had put in a recommendation for me to get evaluated for transplant at UC San Diego, and they wouldn't even meet with me. They straight up denied me. They were like, no, we're not even going to meet with this girl. We would never give her a transplant. So that was heartbreaking. And then I ended up going to Scripps up in La Jolla, and I got evaluated there. And they're, they sound so enthusiastic. And the transplant doctor's like, we're going to fix you. We're going to get you better. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get you a transplant. Oh, no. Like a month later, I got a phone call and it said, I'm sorry, but you're denied. We won't transplant you. And that was really heartbreaking because I had kind of resigned myself to the fact that it was not going to happen for so many years. And then to have some doctors and a couple of them give you this little glimmer of hope, it's like I've been in this dark tunnel and they look, there's a little bit of light at the end. And I got excited, oh my gosh, it could actually happen. Holy crap, that would be amazing. And then to get shut down all over again, it was really, really, really hard. And I took it really hard and I was really sad for a while just because it was just, I don't know, you hope to have this second chance at life. Right. And so that's kind of I feel like over the years, I've tried to adjust that mindset instead of thinking that the kidney was the only way I could have a normal life. I've just developed a normal life around dialysis instead.
Okay.
All right. Because
sure.
I'm not getting a kidney. That's not happening. If it does, it's going to be a very long time from now. And dialysis has been what I've been doing, and it's in my foreseeable future. So if I don't wrap my head around that and just make that's my job. I go to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do dialysis. I rest up, and then the rest of the week I'm resting or just trying to do regular life stuff, which is really hard. It's trying to do the laundry or do the dishes or just even stand up and walk across the room. Blood pressure's really low. I'm just exhausted all the time. And so it's really hard to do that, but I just focus. And I'm always reminding myself and praying every night and thanking God for all the wonderful things that I do have in my life. I have a roof over my head and food and amazing support system. Without my friends and my family, I would never have, I don't think I could have made it this whole time. It's my parents have just been extraordinary in helping me out, and my friends. I'm very blessed that I have a tight group of friends that we've all known each other since elementary, junior high, and we're still best friends. You know, it's like we get together and
cool.
during this time we do Zoom game nights.
That is awesome.
They're my best friends in the whole world, and so they were the ones where it was kind of hard when I was in the younger age, you know, because they were the ones going and doing, and even now, it's like many of them got married and they had kids and they have these great careers and homes and all this stuff that I wanted for myself. That's just, I don't have. But I have a different version of it. I live in an apartment. I live in San Diego, right by the beach. So I love that. Nice. I have a boyfriend who is amazing. He doesn't let me call it dialysis. He makes me call it live-alysis.
Live-alysis,
like,
okay.
Why do you go? You don't die. You go there to live. So it's like live-alysis. And then I have 2 beautiful little kittens, too. My little kitty cats. And they're my babies.
Nice.
And, you know, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So
well,
they're part of the family, too.
Yeah, you have, it sounds like you have an amazing support system, and that's really important, and I'm so grateful for that too, because that is definitely our lifeline, you know, when we're going through things like that. And it's necessary, you know, and that's why my heart just goes out, just not that this has anything to do with what we went through with our health, but you know, just in thinking about it, but this is the good part. It makes me reflect on, my God, what if people like you and me had transplants now and we're having issues, let's say, no one could be there with us. We would literally be going through that by ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So I even think about, with regard to, like, you're sharing the great things and thanking God for what you have. I often reflect about that during this time of pandemic, where God is like, see what I brought you from and to, and what you could have been, you know, dealing with if this had happened, you know, back then or whatever. But I love the fact that you're still doing your thing with work, and that's really, really good. And I know you mentioned about your energy. Now, let me ask you this. Have they talked to, has your nephrologist talked to you about, there's a shot for energy. Now, I don't know if they're still doing this, but girl, this shot was like my lifesaver. This once a week shot. I got it every Friday. They started to let me bring it home, and I had to learn how to administer it, you know, to self. Now, the shot is called erythropoietin. It's called the EPO. That EPO shot was the highlight of my life every week.
See, I wish, like,
you're chronic, girl. That is my chronic.
I have been
chronic. Is that what you just said?
That was my chronic. Every Friday, couldn't wait.
You're like, I'm feeling good.
You know, I'd be dusting off the walls, the house got clean. I mean, what didn't I do? You know, that's the whole point. It's just amazing, because our body produces what's called erythropoietin, and when you have kidney disease, it goes from here. So when you mentioned your energy, you know, that's what I'm talking about. And the shot is so powerful. You can only get it once a week. And by the way, back then they were $1,000 a piece. So I'd have about $10,000 worth of EPO
like
in my
fridge.
refrigerator. And I'd be like, can I just get one more? And they're like, no, you cannot take that shot more.
Yes. I mean, I think that's amazing that it works so well for you, because I've been on EPO since the very beginning. Like, since I was diagnosed, my blood count was low. I've always needed to take it, but I've always had like a real struggle with it. I take Mircera now, which they give me at dialysis, like a once a week injection. And it's similar to EPO, but it does, I guess it works a little differently by creating, you know, stimulates my red blood cells and stuff. But the EPO it never really worked for me. It was like, I would go, they always have weird protocols too. Like, if your blood count gets to a certain level, let's drop the amount you take, and then my blood count will drop. Like, early on, between my first transplants, you know, I had some real issues with, you know, having from the immunosuppressants from the transplant. having zero immune system, and it just got to the point where it was really bad because I had to go to the hospital and they had to like test my bone marrow. They told me like my bone marrow was tired or something crazy like that. And so my blood count was always up, down, up, down. Right now it's been, since I've been in San Diego and been on this Mircera, it's been pretty consistent. So I'm lucky that I have that. But even during treatment, I still have to wear oxygen. My blood pressure just drops really low, and that's really what it is. And the blood pressure switches too, because I've gone from having super, super high hypertension to now it's like I'm hypotensive. And so it's low, and I take medication now to raise my blood pressure.
Wow.
It's just kind of goes back and forth. I felt, you know, a lot steadier. I used to give myself the shots at home when I did PD. I did that for about 9 years. After my second transplant.
So you did PD for 9 years?
Yeah. So I did hemodialysis before my first transplant. And then between the first and the second, I did a little bit of hemo, and then I did PD for about a year. Then after the second transplant, when I needed to do dialysis again, I knew I wanted to do PD. So I went right onto that in 2006. And I did that for quite a while. I was able to finish college. While doing that, I was able to get a job. You know, I used to live up in Sacramento, in capital of California, and I worked at the Capitol. I did politics and stuff. And even there, that's like another group of amazing friends that I met, like more sister friends that I have, you know. And it's just like they took care of me a lot while I was there, because my family, for part of the time, was in Sacramento, but part of the time was down in Southern California. And so I would give myself my shots every week. And I did that for 9 years until I had gotten peritonitis. And the hospital never really properly identified what the specific bug was. Like every time they would try to grow it in the lab, nothing would grow. And so they were like, we don't know exactly what it is. We're just going to like hit you with all these antibiotics and just like kill it all out. But it came back 2 more times, and it completely destroyed my peritoneum. Like doing PD is no longer an option for me. In
Have you considered home dialysis?
Well, yes. I would love to do that at some point. It's just, I don't have the room right now. I don't really have like a space for it. Hopefully at some point I'll, you know, be able to move into like a bigger spot where I can like have like a dedicated area to be able to do that. And so that was part of the hard part about PD too. It's like part of the time when I lived with my family, I was lucky we had an extra bedroom, so I was full of dialysis stuff. And then when I had my own apartment and I was doing it, luckily I had like a dining room area that was just filled with dialysis supplies. But now my space is too small to do that. And right now, like going to dialysis is really my only like social life. You know? All right. There's not like, I don't really know a lot of people down here. One of my lifelong friends, she lives a couple blocks away from me. So it's been great seeing her and having her nearby, but not being able to visit now because of everything is really hard. So it's like going to dialysis. I felt lucky. Everyone else is like stuck completely at home. No one can leave at all. And I'm like, oh, well, it hasn't really changed that much for me. Like I'm usually at home all the time, and then I go to dialysis and I go home. So my life has pretty much stayed the same. But to what you were talking about in regards to,
he keeps on correcting you.
Oh, yeah, live-alysis. That's my boyfriend. Christopher, that's my boyfriend commenting on it.
That's right. Correct her on that, Christopher.
Yeah, live-alysis. But, oh gosh, I was going to say to what you were saying, Bella, about how now people who are in the hospital can't have anybody with them. Like I've seen, you know, on Instagram, just through the community of the chronic illness community, you know, lots of people, every other illness doesn't stop because this is going on. So people are still in the hospital and getting transplants and doing all this stuff. And like you said, they're by themselves. And I can't even imagine, like, I have been so blessed that my mom had a job where she was able to like take time off work or like work away from her job so she could be with me. Like when I first was diagnosed with like every single doctor's appointment, every single everything with me. And she would always be at me at the hospital. And my brother used to come and he would sit with me at the hospital too. Sorry, I'm crying. He was pretty much my twin brother, and he passed away unfortunately earlier this year.
Sorry to hear that.
And it's been one of those where with that even I feel really blessed that this happened in January, because if it had happened now, I wouldn't have been able to be with my family, you know, and we would have all had to, and I feel so like devastated for every family out there who is losing loved ones to this disease in just any circumstance, and they can't be together. They can't mourn them properly or grieve together or any of that. And it's really hard. And it just makes me sad because he was so wonderful and used to come and just hang out with me at the hospital just so I didn't have to be alone. It's like we didn't necessarily talk or anything. He would just be there anytime he could.
Give you a list, huh?
And my family's been great. Anytime I have like a really big surgery or something, you know, it's like they all, like he had driven down from Mammoth. He drove like 5 hours to come be with me for a surgery that he knew was important. And my sisters came, and it's just been really wonderful. And so having that support system and people, I can't even imagine life without it. It just would be awful. I would die. Like I would freak out if I was in the hospital all by myself. I couldn't handle it. Like I need people, like, because I will flip out. Like my mom knows, you know, when you're at the hospital and they ask you 8 million times what's wrong with you? So tell me your story. I'm like, oh my God, like how much time do we have? I don't want to be here for a month. You know, and I get a little snippy at people after a while. Unfortunately, like I try so hard to be nice to the nurses because the nurses, oh my God, nurses are hard. Yes, nurses are a freaking godsend. They are amazing. Like they just do so much and they work so hard and they deal with people who just have the worst attitudes. And I understand, like, we're sick and we feel like crap and no one's in their best mood when you feel terrible. But some people are just, like, awful. Like, they're just mean and just nasty people. And so I try so hard to be nice. And then I feel bad whenever I, like, snap at them. I'm like, I already told you. I did this. Rah, 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 you know? And it's just, like, it's usually when I'm, like, really hungry when they have me, like, on NPO. And they're like, you are not allowed to eat. Like, I had that one time where the doctor was supposed to do surgery, and I had to wait 3 days without eating anything because each day the doctor would end up having transplants and all these other emergency surgeries. So at the end of the day, he'd be like, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to keep you from eating anything again, and we're going to try again tomorrow. 3 days. I was like, I was flipping out. It's not a good idea. And I hate hospital food anyway, so I won't eat it. I make people bring me snacks. So having to eat hospital food, being by yourself, all of that. Oh, that sounds awful.
No, it's real though.
Yeah, it is. It's very real. And I commend the people who are getting through this right now. And
for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So did the doctor by chance, I know I saw some questions rolling through. They come kind of fast and I didn't see them all, but Jared, I know you probably have a better view from your end, but I think I saw, did Steve ask, has she ever, you know, I'm sure what he means is that the doctor ever suggested that you try that chemotherapy be tried, Bridget?
No. So when I first was diagnosed, I tried a lot of different medications, and I don't remember, there was one of them that the doctor pretty much said it was like a chemotherapy medication. That was like the first time that I ever had to quit something because I was working, you know, a high school job at a movie theater, and I started this medication. The doctor's like, it's gonna just decimate your immune system, so you can't work with the public anymore. You have to quit. quit your job. So that was hard. That was the first time. But since then, like they tried all sorts of different medications. And they've come up with a few things. Like I think one of the ones now is like the rituximab or the Rituxan or whatever, how it's pronounced, that people have had some luck with and people are using, but that wasn't introduced until after my last transplant. So it's been 15 years. So they've had some ways that they've come, you know, with it, but the doctors at this point just, it's like, it's hard to say because they're always there for me and trying to help, but I kind of feel also you can't help but feel like abandoned by the medical community. Like, sorry, lady, there's nothing we can do. This is just your situation.
It's natural, though. I mean, for them to virtually just say no, you know, and to hear that is especially hard, and it's very natural for you to feel as though maybe you've been, you know, abandoned or include you. It's kind of, that's very natural, you know, and even if it's not intentional, you know, with their emotions and action, you know, it makes you feel that way, and so I can totally.
Exactly. So it's like, I know, you know, none of them want to do it, and they all, you can tell how heartbroken they are when they have to tell me like that there's nothing that they can do. Just because I've had so many wonderful doctors too throughout the years, you know, who just like really, really care. And you know how it is when you are in this situation, you go to your doctor all the time. Like you become very close with your doctor. And so them trying so hard to help you and them failing at that, I know is really rough on them too. You know, it's like they get into that practice to heal people and help people. And when you can't be helped, they just are like heartbroken about it. And I don't know, that kind of makes me feel better, I guess, because like I feel like they're empathizing with me. And everything
it's not an easy thing for them to do or say.
And it's tough also because people always talk about, you know, the stats on dialysis that only a certain percentage like last for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you know? And I'm like, I have been on dialysis pretty much on and off for 17 years. So like, what? You know, people are always freaked out at first. Like, are you gonna just die or something? And I'm like, and I hate to tell people, and I'm like, I mean, luckily I'm a good patient. My labs are usually really steady and right on point, and just forever, like I've always been told by my doctors that I'm a good patient and that I follow my instructions and do what I'm supposed to do to keep myself healthy.
Way to go.
And that's a huge thing because I feel like a lot of the folks who do end up on dialysis, you know, a large percentage are from diabetes and issues like that, where folks weren't taking as good of care of themselves as they should have been, you know, especially when you are diagnosed with an illness. It's hard. You have to start taking medication every day and all this stuff. After transplant, you know, they send you home with this box and they have a lady sit down with you at the transplant center. These are all the medications and these are all the reasons you need to take them. These are the hours. It has to be taken exactly at this time. I freaked out. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to remember how to take all of these. There's no possible way.
That's got to be overwhelming to have all that information all
It's insane. It's like after transplant is just craziness because you're still drugged up and all this stuff, you know, like you don't know what the heck is going on.
Well, let's not forget too, Bridget, about they all come with a plethora of side effects.
Oh, yes, exactly. So you'll take this one, but you'll get this side effect. So you take this other medication for that, but then you get another side effect. So you take another medication for that, and you're like, just stop. Like one of the big things about the weed and the reason that I use marijuana is it helps me like so much. It helps me sleep. It helps me digest my food and not get stomach aches and not get nauseous because that's been a problem.
Use cannabis.
Yeah, and it's just
medical. The medical marijuana?
Well, yeah, I did that when it was
or nothing, but I was just because I know they do have that now. That's why I was
yes. I did the medical marijuana when I needed to, but in California it's fully legal. It has been for a few years.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even have to go to the store. I just order it for delivery. Like it's you have like your weed guy come deliver, but he's just a regular delivery guy. So since it's legal here, I just use that.
Right. I mean, I live in Utah, and Colorado's not far away. So you know, it's even cannabis in general, though, whether it's marijuana or not, but just cannabis, okay, is proven to have health benefits. That's why CBD. That's why CBD is just exploding.
Oh yeah, and CBD is super helpful. I feel like all of it has really been very helpful for me because I get, just being on dialysis and with the kidney stuff, it's just, my stomach hurts all the time. I feel nauseous like every day. Sometimes I just don't want to eat at all. And it's a good way to keep me eating, and it keeps me from getting stomach aches. Like if I just ate, my stomach will hurt. I can have a little marijuana and it's better. And, it also helps with the anxiety, the depression, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Kevin's from Idaho. Thanks for watching, Kevin. And he's talking about the side effects from dialysis, not the weed, by the way. Just wanted to clarify.
Yes. That is true, Kevin. The side effects of dialysis are really, really rough. And
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it's like people expect you go to dialysis, you come home, you're better, right? You just got your treatment. You're like, no. Like imagine I just ran a marathon and I haven't trained. That's how your body feels. I haven't trained at all. I just went and started just running. And now I can't stand up. I want to fall over. Like I can make it from my car to my couch and I just plop out on my couch. I can't bring anything inside. Every time my boyfriend gets home, I'm like, we need to go get all my dialysis stuff from the car because I can't. It's too much. And I just sleep for hours afterwards. And then the next day, you hope you're better. So it's like I get Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday that I feel okay. Sunday, needing treatment again. So I feel kind of gross. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm just like, I just look at those as those are days when I'm just work all day long.
Okay.
That's my whole job.
And I've told many people that you have to understand that dialysis is not necessarily almost meant to make you feel better and feel great. It just sustains your life and cleanses the blood, and obviously I did PD, I chose PD as well.
Yeah, just so great.
But I did the night cycler and
Same.
It worked.
That's what I did too.
Yeah. And so I didn't have any side effects with that. It was always just instilled, like you talked about, being very clean and careful with that too, because if you get that infection in the peritoneum, it can actually be deadly. So it was just a blessing that they caught that, with you when they were able to get you squared away. But dialysis, you feel yucky,
Oh, it's awful. It's it's not. I don't know. It's not, like you said, it's not a treatment that makes you feel good. I'm not I'm going to my day spa and getting my vitamin B shots and I come back and I'm like, that feels so great. No, I come home and my butt is sore from the stupid chair and I'm bored and I'm tired and I can barely walk and I don't want to eat. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything.
Do you wear a blanket to keep yourself warm?
I have a seat pad, a butt pad for that. I use 2 blankets and I have a personal hand warmer that I use that I got on Amazon and I just heat it up and I stick it either on my hand or I just stick it under my blanket against my body and that helps heat me up. I have my neck pillow. I have an eye mask. I bring my iPad and magazines and a portable charger in case my phone or my iPad dies. I've got quite the setup and I have my little bento box that I bring of snacks every time. I bring the same snacks, a little bit of water, just enough to sustain me through treatment and get me by. So it's like it's down to like an art form at this point, like getting through dialysis. You know, I have the perfect warm sweater, and just, it takes a lot of time. And so I find on Facebook, you know, I'm involved in a lot of the different groups of people with kidney transplants and kidney disease. And one of the big ones that people always ask is, I'm about to start dialysis, what should I bring with me? And we're like, bring all of these things. It's going to change your life. Because like, I didn't start off with any of this stuff, you know, it's just over the years of being like, oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. Because when you start treatment, like at whatever clinic you're in, they give you like a little bag, cheap little headphones, a cheap little neck pillow, and like a cheap little blanket. And it doesn't keep you warm at all. I'm like, no, this stuff is all junk. Like, just don't even throw that away and just get your own stuff. It's going to be a lot better.
Right. All right. So I'm going to start calling it living. I'm going to start calling it living
Live-alysis. Live-alysis.
There you go. Live-alysis. So thank you.
Yes, we're changing it. He's going to be so excited that we got everyone to call it live-alysis now. We're not dying, we're living.
That's right.
Hey, Jared, that question from Lisa Baxter, is that time? Can you read, would you mind reading that to Bridget?
Yeah, I'll bring that back. So Bridget, she had a question here. It was a pretty good one. And when you're on cannabis, you smoke it. I mean, can you explain to folks that maybe aren't familiar with how to
I do both, kind of. Like, sometimes I'll smoke it, and then sometimes I'll do like an edible. You know, and then I've also done like just the CBD oil stuff, like a tincture, you know, and I spray in my mouth. Like, I have a lot of different options. And luckily, you know, being here in California, we have like a million different kinds. So you can just like, you go and you tell them, I need something specifically that's going to like help my stomach, or I want something that's going to keep me awake and do this, or I want something that's going to help me sleep and do this. So, I mean, I haven't noticed any side effects from weed, you know, like I was always kind of like a recreational user when I was younger, kind of on and off, but it's only been the past few years that I've started to use it regularly as part of my medication. So otherwise I was taking meds to help with my nausea and all this different stuff. I just like, I personally, I mean, everyone has their own different, idea of what's going to work best for them, but I kind of like the idea of just having something that's a natural product that's going to naturally do that, rather than more chemical prescriptions that I have to take. So I already have to take enough of that as it is. It's like I don't even take any of the post-transplant ones. I've been off of those for years. It's like all the medication I take is just like vitamins and this and that and all this other stuff to regulate like my thyroid and to regulate my blood pressure and you know, for having like digestive like reflux stuff. Like I wasn't on any medication for that for a while, and I started to develop an ulcer back in the day because it was just like everything's just all messed up in your body, and so it's like always like coming up, and I would just feel so sick. So I take medication for that. Yeah, and I like also that now with, as Stephanie mentions on here, that the quality is really regulated on the marijuana on the market now, you know, which was one of the reasons I wanted it to be legalized in California, and I voted for that, was I wanted it to be less of like a black market thing. You know, I wanted to have some sort of, it has to go through, you know, it goes from here, 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 and there's like so many regulations surrounding it now that it's more expensive because it's taxed, but I don't mind that because I would rather like feel comfort in like the product that I'm getting rather than just like getting some like random pills from some guy on the street, you know?
Right.
So when you make it, I mean, and this is like, this could be a total stereotype, but I always think brownies. I mean, is that what you?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, I've obviously had my share of weed brownies throughout throughout my life. But you know, now it comes in so many different things. It's like you can get it as syrup or a drink or this or that, like a lemonade, a chocolate bar, a piece of cake.
All right.
So many different options. Like It
All
comes
sorts of foods.
any
Okay.
way you want it, you can get it, which is kind of nice. It's like you get this drink and it's like a lemonade and you just have a little, like kind of like a little baby shot, like if I was having like a nightcap or something, but it's my weed instead that I drink instead of having alcohol. Because I don't really drink alcohol that much just because my body is just, it does not like it. It is like, I used to drink more when I was younger, but especially these past few years, like, oh my gosh, my body rejects alcohol. It's like I have a drink and it's just everything. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of stick with the marijuana instead, because it just makes me feel a lot better and it helps me relax when I need to.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I'm lucky to be in California that I have the access to it that I do here, considering that I personally like it and like to use it.
Well, what I like is that you found something that's helping you with your anxiety and depression that you've had, and that's good. You know, because you know we want to be able to have a balance. You know, and you found something that helps you with your balance. Now, from your response, which has been a great response, so you're not noticing like the side effects, because that's kind of why Lisa was asking about that, a side effect from weed. But if there are side effects, it's probably not bad ones, because you've responded very well.
Yes, exactly. You know, I feel like if there is a side effect, whatever it is, isn't noticeable enough for me to not want to do it. And it's not worse than dialysis side effects. Livalysis, pardon me.
Livalysis, right.
Livalysis. And so it's obviously also not
like he said, better than using Xanax. Like rather than having to take additional medication and stuff, I can just chill out. I'm just trying to not, you know, kind of cleanse my body of what it can, since I can't keep less chemicals coming in, since my body's not good at cleaning out what it's supposed to.
Well, you know your body.
Harder. You know, I don't want to make it any harder on myself than it already is. Just eating food is the toxin in my body, you know? Having to be very careful about diet and all that stuff.
Speaking of food, Christopher just shared a moment ago binders. So when you're eating, you know, it sounds like you're obviously, because you talked about being compliant, it sounds like you're a good patient, so you're probably taking your binders well. But what kind of recipes do you do? You've shared some of those on Instagram that I've seen. Can you talk a little bit about your food and your recipes?
Yeah, totally. So part of the dialysis diet for me is, you know, having to watch my phosphorus and my potassium. And that's really hard because, like, for folks who don't know, phosphorus is like in everything. And so, you know, you have to take your binders, and it's a phosphorus binder. So what that does is, like, you take it when you're eating, either like before or after or during, and it binds with the phosphorus in your food and helps you get rid of it that way, since my body won't naturally regulate it like everyone else would. And it's in a lot, you know, like I said, it's in everything. But if you notice, if you read labels on things, anything that has phos in the word, in one of the ingredients, is just added phosphorus. Like it's not natural. They add it to the food. So that's one of the big things is I have like my rotation now of the brands and different types of foods that I use. Because I've like read all the labels on everything, you know, like I drink, I use almond milk in my cereal. I use almond milk in my coffee, but if you look at most almond milks, they have added phosphorus. So I have like one specific brand. And so sometimes when I come across those, I like to share that with dialysis folks, just so they know, like, here's something you can have that's one less thing that has additives in it, you know? Otherwise, low potassium, which is in a lot of fruits and potatoes. Like, oh, I miss bananas and oranges and French fries and tomatoes, like all that kind of stuff. Beets, even randomly. I love beets, and I can't have those. It's just like a lot of weird stuff, right? So I try to make different medications. I try to make different recipes with that kind of stuff that doesn't have added sodium in it. You know, try to use all the other spices and things to get your flavor that way, so you're not just adding a bunch of salt. Using low sodium products, I like to share those. Or, you know, I made a cauliflower gnocchi the other night. It was delicious. Right.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
It was really good. And I just, you know, it's kind of funny because my boyfriend, you know, he's like, he's a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Like, that's what he wants, is a steak and potato. And so when I can get him to eat, you know, like my mashed cauliflower or my cauliflower pizza or my cauliflower gnocchi, and he actually likes it, I feel like, okay, this is a good recipe. He's like, oh, this is like really good. I'm like, see, I told you they could be good. So I try to make my recipes. I don't even cook that much, though, because I'm not a good cook, number one. Pretty terrible. And it's also part of just having no energy, is that like, if I, like yesterday, I slept like 10.5 hours. So when I woke up, I had like all the energy of the day. And for me, that means like I did a load of laundry. I did some dishes. I cooked. I did a couple other things. And I was like, what a big, exciting day. Like, look at all this stuff that I did. But then I feel good enough. And I'm like, oh, I'll cook dinner tonight. So I just try to kind of stick different things like that and share what I really like, or share different products that I have come across with different folks, because I know there's a lot of folks like me who are trying to find healthy options, or something that's easy and not super hard to get or to make. And so that's kind of like, I use really quick, easy recipes, and just try to, I don't know, I'm trying to share that with folks. And I've gotten good response from sharing those as well. You know, different people reach out and they're like, that sounds great. Can you send me the recipe? Or thank you so much for this idea. And I like that. And I like taking ideas from other people, you know, what do you do? And I just, the communication that I've been able to have through all of this with this community, and even the able-bodied, healthy community, through my Instagram and my Facebook and my blog and stuff, it's just been really wonderful. Okay, I'm reading this question right now. So with the marijuana, it doesn't really give me energy. I don't use like a specific brand, and it kind of depends. I do both a sativa or an indica. So sativa is more of the, like, for your mind, and it's going to keep your body like going and kind of calms your mind a bit. And the indica, they call it indicaucha, because that's just like, it calms your body and you just like lay in the couch.
I'm learning.
Well,
hey, stick with me. I got all sorts of knowledge.
This whole weed experience is so intriguing to me that you guys are talking about, because my daughter's actually on here today, and she was laughing earlier. I know this is really funny to my mom, because she doesn't know any. I have never been a weed girl, even as a teenager growing up, and obviously even not in adult life, because that is the one way you get fired quick from the police department.
Oh gosh, yes.
I know I had a friend who had been just telling me how amazing the weed experience is now, and was encouraging me to get. And I'm just like, no, I don't think that'd be a good idea for me.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely.
I'm just not into that. But I'm just always listening, like, wow, you know, this is amazing.
So, you know, I've been lucky that I've been able to use it and find that that's something that really helps me. But I mean, absolutely, some folks it's just not their jam. Even if they tried it like one time, they're like, I don't like it. I don't ever want to do it again. And that's totally fine. You know, for those folks, I kind of recommend CBD if they have issues and they don't want the high that comes with the THC. Right, you get the medicinal benefits of it still, where it can help you.
The cannabis is still there in the CBD. It's still.
Is that oil? What is CBD? Is that oil?
Yeah,
CBD is from hemp, and hemp is a form of cannabis, but it doesn't give you that high that she's talking about. And so, because it doesn't make you high, it's legal CBD in all 50 states. You know, because it doesn't give you any high.
find it in all sorts of stuff. Like it comes
So it's just a euphoric, like, I mean, what's the purpose
no,
of it?
like I feel like with the CBD, you know, if you're having the anxiety or this or that, I feel like it just kind of calms you a little bit. Like you're not feeling high, like you don't feel weird and fuzzy or any of that. It just kind of like brings like a nice little like calm to you. Right. Yeah, exactly. And they have it in products. They have it in lotions. And this, I use CBD lotions, and that stuff helps so much. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's like if you're hurt or you have bruises or sprains or aches, rub it on there, and it's
with like
it really is great.
Fibromyalgia, take it because they have aches and pains. And the CBD is great for aches and pains. And so you can rub the oil, the lotion, and for people that have like aches and pains, arthritis, whatever, CBD oils or lotions are great for that. But you know, so do you know Ashley, Bridget? Is she a friend of yours or
no?
Ashley is my daughter. She's
she's your daughter. Okay.
Hi,
she's your daughter. All right. I've often thought about trying it for anxiety. CBD is totally legal in all 50 states, doesn't give you a high, and it's still cannabis. It just is a different form of cannabis.
Yes, it's not the THC, which is what gets you the mental high.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I've like recommended it to my parents. You know, my dad, like he's never smoked weed in his life. And I'm like, Dad, you should try CBD. Like it's going to help you with your aches and pains and this and that. Yeah, it's better than taking drugs. Yeah. And I found that to be a really big thing.
I'm the only person that doesn't know about this.
Like I had a pretty like intense surgery a couple years ago where they were trying to clean out the scarring in my peritoneum. So the doctor pretty much like opened me up from hip to hip, like all the way across to get in there and clean it up. And afterwards, I think I took drugs like the pain pills for like a day, maybe two, and I just used marijuana and CBD the rest of the time. It was amazing. Like I didn't have to, because I hate the opioids because you get all blocked up. You just like, it's just, you feel disgusting with them.
The athletes have gotten addicted to it.
Yeah, and exactly. And they're very highly addictive, and they're just, they shut down your digestive system, and you just get all, it's really not good. So I really found that the marijuana, like it helps my pain. Like, oh my gosh, it was a lifesaver. I was so happy that I didn't have to take all the pills for that. Like, you know, they give me my big prescription bottle and then I have it forever because I never take it. Which is great. What I'd rather do.
Not a pill popper either. I mean, you know, I totally get it. Especially my thing is when you know, because of the fact that I already have to take a few medications for the rest of my life. I can never stop taking them. That alone makes me, okay, so what is this for? And okay, so what can I do rather in lieu of having to take this? What do I need to stop doing or pump up the volume with? You know,
exactly.
And so that's how, like I said, you know, I never ended up, and that always fascinates transplant patients when I'm out there, you know, doing the speaking engagements and then talking to the patients at TGH when they say, well, so how long were you on? Are you still on prednisone or did it? I was never on it. You were never on it. No. You know, and so I don't tell people to do what I did, though. I would never do that.
Exactly. However, it's all what is going to work best for you. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's case is different. Just try out different things and work what you're comfortable with and what's going to work for your body.
No, I like that. You can share your story, but you can't necessarily say this is what you should do because
exactly. And I think that's why we don't want to do that.
You know,
I don't like it when people are like, I did this and why are you doing this? And shaming you for doing different things. Like, you don't know my body, you don't know my life. Like, and it could be what's good for one person is dangerous for someone else, or it's going to cause bad effects on someone else. Like, we're just all so unique and different that way that it's like, share, say, this is what I did, this worked for me. I mean, I always tell people, this is what I did, this is what worked for me. Talk to your doctor and see what's going to work for you. But just, I always tell people that, like, I would never take it upon myself to like go ahead and let people know like that my way is the only
Exactly. So and that's really important, because I just think that the greatest thing is, one of the best things that we can do is just really, really keep up, with medical technology, and, especially guys like us who have this illness that unfortunately, this disease can come back. But I do know that they're constantly, it's just continuously evolving, in the medical industry. And so much is being learned. And like you said, Bridget, I mean, you may have an organ, that's man-made. You know what I mean? I mean, they are really moving fast on this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just the prospects of that is just so exciting, to know. And I'm still rocking with, this is going to happen. I don't care what they're saying, I think we're going to have you back on this show again, and it's going to be about the success story of Bridget's.
Nice.
Right.
I hope so. I would love that. I'd love to come back and let everyone, guess what? I don't have to do dialysis anymore.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Dialysis suckers.
That. Chronically Bridget, courageous, heal Bridget,
And then we'll be saying winner.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. So, do you, what would you, I don't know if there's anything that you would want to ask me as a former FSGS person, or, just to share with the audience.
Oh, wow. I guess, my question for you is, how long between diagnosis from diagnosis to starting dialysis to getting your transplant? How long was that period for you?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So that time span, from diagnosis, which was, again, like I said, in like 1994, to when I was finally looking at either possibly having to make that transplant happen or go on dialysis, would have been like in 2000, late 2003.
Oh, wow.
So there was a very long stretch there.
That's nice.
Times, which was amazing. And I give that all to God, but it's also, I'm sure that the contributing factors were also, I was in great physical shape, and I chose to continue working. I was still an officer.
It's amazing.
To keep as much normalcy as possible in my life. And
absolutely.
Again, since I wasn't going to take prednisone, so all those things you talked about, you had to cut out of your diet. I had to do the same. And then I also chose, because of that high level of protein spillage, I chose to cut beef and pork out of mine. So I never ate it again. I'm still not on it, even after I still don't eat beef and pork after all these years. And of course, when you get transplanted, then they're like, oh, just go back. You can do everything you were doing, eat everything.
You're like, no.
Once I'm done, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Right. You're kind of like, you've gotten yourself so used to that you're like, I don't need to go back. I'm fine.
I don't desire it. And I tell you, nowadays, it's not good for anybody, but I'm not going there with everybody.
Another one of those. You're like, that's what I do, but if you want to, that's your business.
But so that was a very long stretch. before it really started to get to the aggressive stage where my numbers, thanks, Bunny.
That's so sweet.
Where my creatinine was starting to just naturally rise.
Yeah.
And my son was not far from his wedding at that point in time. And that was when my doctor told me, my nephrologist, I want you to go, and because I had about 4 false starts with living donation. So I had about 4 people that went to donate for me. And then they fell through for various reasons, because as you know, as everybody knows, or those who don't, you have to be in excellent shape to be a donor. They are going to look out for you more than us.
Yes.
And so it's not about us and, let's get them a kidney like everybody thinks. It's looking out for that person. And there's so much testing involved. Trust me, if you got anything, they gonna find out what it is.
Oh, absolutely. Like
out, right?
Yeah, organ donors are like some of the healthiest people out there, because they will not do that. And like you said, people always think, especially because I did some work for a while where I was volunteering with Donate Life, trying to get people to sign up to be organ donors and different stuff like that. Like, I'm a very big proponent of that. And it drives me bonkers. Like, I want to pull my hair out when people, well, why would the doctor save my life if I'm an organ donor? They're just going to let me die for someone else. I was like, why? Like, who? What?
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly. They're not even the same doctor. My doctor's not treating you. Your doctor is, and you are your doctor's number one priority. They want to save you. If, God forbid, that can't happen, then they will make the best use of your organs. But no one's gonna just let you die because they think someone else deserves your kidney instead of you. It's just, that's ridiculous. And that used to drive me nuts. And that was another one of those things where I wasn't very understanding enough with that. I was like, what? I don't understand. You want me to die? Do you understand if I didn't have a kidney, I would die? Do you want me to die? Is that what you're telling me? I get all crazy on people sometimes.
I totally know. Lifelink, Lifelink out here, it's called Lifelink. And so I'm with them too. So what you're saying, every event that I do, that I host, I'm an organizer for them. We call it the myths and misconceptions. Let's get that first, because I know we're going here with this. And what you said is the very number one, misconception.
Yes,
it is.
Yes.
With regard to organ donation.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a very difficult task to get people to understand that and change their mind. So if I get 1 or 2 people to sign up, I am literally rejoicing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's very common.
You gotta just brought up a good point as well.
Especially in minorities. Yeah.
And that makes sense. It's like, people just think that the doctors are not, their life doesn't matter to that doctor.
Give us your organs.
If I go, my doctor is just, he doesn't care. He's going to think like, oh, well, I'd rather give your kidney to this other random person, or give your heart to this other random person. And I try to tell people too.
What doctor is that? Some alley? I mean,
exactly. What kind of doctor are you going to? I'm sorry. Healthcare in America isn't the greatest, but we're not that bad.
Right.
Yeah, they don't understand. I mean, they don't. You don't. And I don't mean this in a bad way of saying it, but you're going to be ignorant to pretty much anything, especially something that deep, unless you educate yourself on it.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. And that's why
I'm not to get upset.
And that's kind of our job when you're out there talking to the community, is to educate people and help them understand this is a misconception. This is not the correct information. We're going to give you all these stats and facts and just let you know, and just try to help people. Maybe they'll go home and they'll think about it. Even if you don't get them to sign up at that point, maybe they'll be like, okay. And maybe the next time when they get the opportunity, oh, well, I talked to that girl and she said this and that. Like, okay, I'll check the little box on my DMV. I'll do all that.
Process. It's not just, you died. Okay, it's not up to those doctors in that ER that were trying to save your life.
Yes.
That is a 3-part 3 to 4 part process. It's a lot of people in this organization.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's not just like, oh, well, I happen to have this. Like on TV, they make it seem like that, where a doctor's like, well, I have another patient and they need your heart. And you're like, no. And that bothers me because I'm like, these are different doctors. Like, that's a transplant doctor or a nephrologist or a cardiologist that's seeing you. You're just like a random ear. Yeah. Yes. Medical shows like drive me nuts, especially ones where people have a transplant and no one's like wearing a mask and no one's, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are spreading germs. This is so dangerous. You can't do that.
Cop shows. Hate them.
Gosh.
Hate them. Like, oh my God, you watch Chicago PD? I'm like, oh my God.
That's I can't even imagine.
That is hilarious.
No. It's not real people. This is television. Majority of I mean, you can have a few little surreal moments and everything.
And that's why it's just so important for folks like us who know and have been either gone through the process or family members, like you, Jared, like having your sister-in-law having to go through this. It's like, these are the folks who need to go out and talk to people about it and just as you understand, because we talk about it. And the more people talk about it, I think the less like stigmatized it gets. It's like everything. It's the same with, I feel like the anxiety and depression that I was really suffering for a long time. Nobody talked about that. Nobody talks about that stuff. Like now it's a lot better when people, it's not a shameful thing. Like I have been diagnosed with depression. Like there's nothing wrong with me. Like this is a circumstance of my life. And that's what they've told me pretty much, is that mine's like a circumstantial thing, because obviously everything I've gone through and lost and restarted, I feel like I haven't ever, it's just been hard trying to get my life on a track because I keep getting knocked off of it. And everyone's always tells me like, it's not a race. You guys are not on the same course. Some person may have a straight shot. Yours is curvy and hills and underground and all this kind of stuff. And that's okay. Just kind of go at your own pace and just talk to people and help people. And I don't know. We have been talking for a long time.
Because it's a great show.
It is a great show.
It is.
I should be on here every week.
But Bridget, I totally agree. I do. I agree with you. Okay. I've had to deal with each of my parents. They've died, each of them, different times of cancer. My mom died of breast cancer. My dad died of kidney cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And I've gone through a divorce. I've got a daughter who's estranged to me. And so I deal with depression and anxiety because of things that I've gone through. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't talk about this and we just put it in, some sort of corner and we try to push it away, it doesn't help. And again, I love that you found balance, whether, you talk about it, which is good, but also you found something that helps you stay calm, and cannabis, if that helps you find balance, I am so happy that helps you, because some people don't find that balance. And when they don't find that balance, guess what? They continue to have darkness, and that darkness isn't good. And I love that you found balance.
Yeah. And it's a very, very scary place to be in, like I'm not shy about telling people that throughout the years, I've definitely had suicidal thoughts, I've had times when I've been in the hospital and I thinking to myself, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this cannot be my life. Like, this is just so horrible. And I just hate everything. Like, why even keep going? Luckily for me, I have like lovely nieces and nephews and family and stuff. And really it's been my nieces and nephews, the little ones, who have kind of kept me going. Like I look to them and I think they would they wouldn't be able to understand. Like, where did Bridget go? Like, what happened? I don't understand. And my parents and stuff have kept me going. And a lot of times I've kept living for other people. Not really for myself. And so recently I've kind of switched the focus to trying to live for myself, you know, like I can't please people all the time. I just need to be super honest with myself and who I am, what makes me happy, what brings me into those dark places. And it's a really hard thing to deal with. And I went to therapy, and that really helped me a lot. I feel like just getting validated, having somebody say, yes, what you've gone through is hard and it sucks and you have every right to feel this way. And then you're kind of like, oh, okay, like I'm not just pouty about it or whatever. And it's a scary thing, you know, and like even just a couple of years ago, I was going through a really dark time too. And I needed to change everything. And I did. And I moved to San Diego because one of the things, like you said, finding what the beach is my happy place. I love where I live and being able to walk around, just be by the ocean and just that, like, it makes such a difference. And I'm like, I'm willing to give up other things like having a big spacious apartment to have this, because I know that's what is going to make me happier and bring me peace and calm.
Mad props. Seriously, yeah.
It gives you a reason to want to get up and live.
If the sun does that and it lifts you up, then that's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just know also, Bridget, that a lot of what you're experiencing with regard to the anxiety, you know, i.e. depression, it's also because of the chemical imbalances in your body. You know what I mean? The toxins that build up, because your body is only filtering urine based on dialysis, which is still artificial. You know what I mean? And so I read up on that. When you build up those, you know, that stuff builds up. I mean, I remember I was kind of dealing with that off and on. I was having nightmares. I wasn't a nightmare person. And I talked to the doctor about that. I'm like, where the monkey are these nightmares coming from all of a sudden? And she explained it to me. That it's not to say again that it's going to happen with everybody.
Yeah, but it's something that's...
And we're females, so let's not forget that part. We deal with our little female. Right. So we have the double whammy going on, you know, in a lot of ways. So I just don't beat yourself up, or, you know, nothing's wrong with you. You are going through what you're going through because of this illness, you know, absolutely. And that's why. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I definitely.
It's a good comment from Alan.
Have just this Alan is the father of one of my long-term friends. I've known him since I was in 5th grade. I have a lot of these wonderful people on here commenting, and it's just really great. Arts and crafts, yes, I love doing different stuff. Like I have a little book that I just got of like calligraphy letters to like practice writing that stuff. You know, I have my cats, just petting them. Like, oh my God, having a pet for me is the hugest thing. Like I need that comfort and the snuggles and just that love.
Right on.
It makes me so excited because, like, you know, I'm home all day, not working or whatever. And then my boyfriend's gone all day. But I never feel lonely. It's like I wake up in the morning and I'm like the crazy.
You got a friend. I
talk to my cats and I give them goodbyes before I leave, and I let them know I'll be home soon.
They're family.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so helpful. Like when I went through my first bout of dialysis and a transplant, I had gotten a dog. My dad got me like a puppy for Christmas right before that. And he was my best friend for 10 years and was just one of those where he like went through everything with me, lived in college with me. He moved home with me. He was like my whole best friend when I was home by myself all the time. Like this dog was just my only friend in the world that I had. Like I think things are a lot easier now because we have modern technology, better phones, video chatting, all that kind of stuff. Like I didn't, you know, we didn't have any of that stuff before. And so you're in the hospital and you're not, like, you get a phone call maybe from somebody, but that's really it. And now it's just a lot easier to stay connected to friends. And I also make more of a point to reach out and let them know how I'm feeling. And when I'm going through hard times, like, let them support me, because I know with my friends, when they go through a hard time, I want to support them. I want them to share with me. And so it's ridiculous because we're all like that. Like, I want you to share with me, but I'm not going to share with you because I'm afraid that my stuff is too much. And I've gotten some of my friends. Me. Yeah, right? And my friends, they've said that to me. They're like, oh, like, I was having this really hard day, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to bring you guys down. We're like, no, like, tell us, like, we love you so much that we want to help you. And I think it's a hard thing also, accepting that people want to help you. That accepting love is very difficult. You know, like, you can get it, but sometimes you're just like, oh, like, I don't deserve it, or this or that, or there's just like a million different reasons. And I found that that's something that's been hard for me, is accepting help and love and asking for it. But it's part of the growth process. You know, it's been 20 years, and I am just kind of finally within the past few years, like, I think really living joyfully with this and not putting too much pressure on myself with I need to work and I need to be in school and I need to do all this stuff. Like, I have to check all the boxes on the list. Like, no, I don't have to do that. My life is no one else's life. I can live here. I can do this. I can hang out and just do whatever. And I'm happy and I treat people well and they treat me well, and it's all good. That's all that matters, you know? Like, you don't have to be a certain person for people to love you. You just need to be yourself and let them love you.
Well said, well said.
If it's not enough for certain people, then those aren't people that need to be in your life anyhow.
Exactly. And
all of us.
Oh yeah, just everybody. Like, and I feel like a lot of people hold on to that. Like, I'm just keep reaching out to this person and they're not doing this, or this person makes me feel this way or this way. Okay, well, you know, like Marie Kondo says, you know, it's like, thank them for their service and then say goodbye. Like, thank you for being a friend to me during the time. You know, obviously, they're, like they say, people are in your life for like a reason or a season or a lifetime or whatever. And I find that completely true. It's like, embrace what you have at the time, but if it doesn't work out in the end in a friendship, or sometimes it's even family that you have issues with, and you just have to be like, it's okay, like, I didn't do anything wrong, you know, as long as, you know, and just let go. And it brings you so much more peace too, not trying to worry about it. The biggest thing I learned in therapy is what someone else thinks about you is none of your business. You know, like, just
it's not healthy to hang on to it. Yeah.
The only thing in the whole world you can control is your own actions. You can't control anybody else's feelings, actions, none of it. So don't worry about them. Do what you know is right to do and be a good, kind person and all that kind of stuff. And if someone else doesn't like it or they treat you badly, then just say, okay, thank you, but I'm moving on.
All right. I like that.
For mental health.
Yeah.
Well, guys, ladies, we have had a great show. This has been awesome. It has been awesome. Thank you so much. This has been so good. Great. And it has been. It's been wonderful. And, you know, one of the things I really like, Bridget, is that you're honest, that you're real and you're raw. And I love that. Don't stop being you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try to be. There's no point.
I would love to be your FSGS sister.
Absolutely. For life now.
And just to continue to be able to continue to, you know, just to minister into your life and be an encourager for you. Some things I want to look into for you, you know, on the side that I'm going to do a little bit of research on my end. And I'll get your information from Jared, and so we can connect. I want to follow your social media.
Absolutely, I would love that.
As well as on Instagram, and you follow me, and I'm claiming you're getting a kidney. I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I
love
mean?
It. Thank you.
Keep
sending those vibes. I'm taking all of them.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
I'm accepting all good vibes right now.
Yes.
Keep them coming, people.
Yes.
Let's spread the love. Let's spread the love.
We need to get T-shirts. Live Alice's.
Yeah, exactly.
Live Alice's. Yes.
I love it. We're all going to start using this.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you all our guests for watching. They've been really chiming in, but I know that's because of Bridget's wonderful big audience. No, we have a great audience anyway, but it's really been great. Really been great.
Thank you. Yeah, I love, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening and contributing to the conversation. I appreciate all the support from all of my folks, and then
speaking
also
of shout outs, Bridget, shout outs. Shout out.
Let's see. Well, I'm going to shout out obviously Christopher Campbell. It's my boyfriend. Live Alice's. That right there, Rick Tykert. That's my stepdad. Okay. Eileen is my mom. Stephanie is Stephanie Opal Graves. She's an oldie but a goodie. We've been besties since 4th grade. We literally, the first time we hung out, I called her and asked her to play. I was like, hi, do you want to play together? She was like, okay. So we went swimming at the YMCA.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I want to say hi to Jim.
From way back.
He's family also.
All right.
Brandis was on here. Yeah.
Hi,
hey, Jim. Brandis was on here making comments. Hi, Brandis.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Brandis, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's my girl. Yeah. So those are the ones I at least see right now. But thank you. And I'm really excited for all these other folks who tuned in, and hopefully we can connect on social media and I can chat with them more. I mean, I would love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and then Gary Leubbers here. That's my dad.
Nice. Hi, Gary.
He gave me my first kidney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So he was my first donor.
Nice.
Well,
you're welcome, man. This has been fantastic. Thank you. And Steve Belcher saying that he'd love to have you, on World Kidney News, another show that we have on the Urban Health Outreach Media Network.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'll get you connected to Steve Belcher.
Thank you.
He's our producer and great man. He's the one who helps me do the show. Urban Health Outreach Media Network allows me to do this, and I'm so happy that they allow me to do it because I can reach out and do this. So thank you.
And I appreciate you for doing a show like this and letting these kidney folks share their stories. And, normally you would give people the information for a transplant center or how to contact them and give them a kidney. So, I think that's so amazing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just in closing, shows like this are the real deal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I've always felt that people, I know for me, I have mad respect for the medical industry, obviously. Always did. Always did. Used to feel I missed my calling and should have been a doctor, but I don't say that anymore because I was who God wanted me to be. But this is a sidebar to it based on what I went through and becoming so knowledgeable in that. But what I've always respected was people who actually walk the walk. And that's where my best information came from. That's where I was able to feel the heart and the soul of that person. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
As opposed to just being told, or a better way to say it, just in conjunction with the textbook aspect.
Yes, absolutely. You can read stuff and learn about it, but talking to somebody who's been through it and lived it, and it's just a different perspective that people have, and that's an irreplaceable one because everybody has their own journey and their own path and their own lessons that they've learned.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's been really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Bridget.
Thank you.
Bridget, I look forward to continuing to converse.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I look forward to chatting with you guys more.
Yeah. Everybody
All
have
right.
a wonderful and blessed night. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right.
You guys all have a good night
lady.
too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Have a blessed evening. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for having tuned in to Warriors Quest. We've heard a great story from Bridget. All right, she has on Instagram, it's Chronically Bridget. Please find her on Instagram, connect with her, because she has not only a great story, but she also has just this great sense of raw and just being real. And that's so needed when you're going through kidney disease. So please connect with her so that we can help other people that are going through the same kidney disease. Okay, we come together, we can do great things, people. I know God knows this, and we're much better people together when we're united. So please connect with her on Instagram. You can find her and make sure that you let her know that you watch Warriors Quest. All right, but thank you so much for tuning in. This has been gone a little bit longer, but I'm so glad we did, because it was a powerful show. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. All right, peace. I'm out. Hold on, I've got an outro somewhere over here. Here we go.